that she was pregnant. They didn't tell her. They let her go to the bathroom. He was from the IV and allowed her to go to the bathroom knowing that she was pregnant at the time. I mean, a cardinal sin in the emergency room. She was positive for COVID and influenza A and B.
What? She looked pregnant in the cheerleading attire. Oh, actually, hold on. I like to retract what I said earlier. While I think it's possible for women to know that they're not pregnant, because I've heard of stories like that, when I saw pictures of her in the cheerleading outfit, I was like, you know what? To other people, it looked like she could just be a little bit chubby to other people. Now, when there were pictures and videos of her arching her back, yeah, she looked very pregnant because it was protruding out. And I was like, yeah, you know, to other people, but they probably don't see her walking around like that, right? However, when I really thought about it, I was like, wait a second. She must have known she was pregnant, because when she's alone with her own body, like, she must see that, like, it's very protruding, right? And she did tell the nurse that she stopped taking birth control pills and took weight loss pills. And why would you stop taking birth control pills? Because you're pregnant. Birth control pills prevent you from getting pregnant. If you're already pregnant, why would you take birth control pills? You don't. So that's exactly what she did. And she was somehow able to be resourceful and get weight loss pills. I don't know how, but yeah. So that's the part that I rethought over, not the other thing that I mentioned earlier. Been standing Vinnie since 2000. I wish we could get some footages of Vinnie, you know, because he used to be like a prosecutor, right? I wish we could get some footages of Vinnie in court. That'd be great to watch. Are there any?
One of the stories involves a young woman, who's 19 years old, goes to the hospital complaining of back pain. She goes there with her mom. She's in labor, delivers the child in the bathroom, leaves the child in the bathroom, in plastic, in the trash. She's now charged with murder. Take a listen here, because police responded. Body cams are rolling, and you get to see some of the statements and reactions, like, in real time.
Like, it's possible maybe she didn't have, like, all the pregnancy symptoms. Maybe it was possible that she wasn't, you know, getting, like, the morning sickness. Maybe she was still getting spotty periods and she thought she was still, you know, having regular periods. Maybe it's possible that, I don't know, there's a lot of things that's possible, right? However, she must have looked pregnant when she was sitting in front of the mirror naked. She must have looked pregnant, because when she was arching her back in those pictures, you can see the stomach. That stomach must have been protruding out. She must have known. But I think, like I mentioned before, whether or not she knew she was pregnant, whether or not the hospital knew she was pregnant or not, and before they were able to tell her that she was pregnant, at the end of the day, I think what it really starts at is her giving pregnancy in the bathroom. And it's everything that's following after that. I don't know how her defense team is going to argue that, like, she didn't know she was pregnant. The hospital knew she was pregnant. Well, how are you going to explain that? Like, okay, well, she did give birth, and, well, what came out of her wasn't poop. It was a baby. Why did she put her baby in the trash? So I don't know how they're going to explain that part. Or, you know, it's so far from what I've heard from his interviews, he just kind of glazes over that. He just blames the hospital.
Let's take a look.
Because even if it was a dead baby, you don't put dead babies in trash bins. Is she going to say they're like, oh, well, you know, I assumed the baby was dead, so who cares? I just put it in the trash bin. Baby wasn't alive. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter.
We did a pregnancy test on her, showed positive. She was denying that she had sex. Then she said she had to go to the bathroom. She went to the bathroom. She was in there for quite a while. We kept knocking on the door. Finally, we got her to open the door, and there was blood everywhere. She was cleaning it up. She had taken it and put it in the regular trash, and there's still trash all around the baby. She put it right in the trash can. Then she twisted it.
At this point, though, I do believe that the mom didn't know she was pregnant, maybe had her suspicions, but wasn't 100% sure. However, I don't know, maybe some evidence will come out that will show the mom did know for sure. But when I rewatched the video where the mom finds out that there was a baby in the bathroom and stuff like that, or sorry, when she gave birth, the mom looked very surprised and shocked to me. So I do believe that the mom didn't know she was pregnant, but I'm sure she had her suspicions.
And wrapped it underneath him, and then set the baby in the bottom. Then she put paper towels on top and then 2 wadded up trash cans or liners. They were clean on top of that. And then she placed a brand new clean liner in the trash can like it was ready to take trash. When they looked in there, there was no trash in there, but it was underneath the clean bag. The baby.
Yeah, that's true. Maybe when the mom finds out it's full term, she looks surprised. Right. So it's possible maybe the mom had her suspicions and maybe she thought Alexee was maybe a couple weeks, maybe a couple months. But to find out that she was full term, she definitely looks surprised at that.
He's dead. Okay, we have him in trauma too, but she killed the kid. Cold and blue already. His temperature was like 95. No signs of life, no breathing, no respirations, no heartbeat, nothing, no movement whatsoever.
So she's charged with murder. So a big part of the case will be the autopsy and toxicology results. Let's take a look. Cause of death: asphyxia, suffocation, strangulation, manner of death, homicide, how the injury occurred, tied in a plastic bag. Then the important toxicology results: caffeine presumed positive, morphine free, 19 nanograms per milliliter, phentermine 420 nanograms.
What was phentermine again? We looked it up, didn't we? Was that the weight loss thing? Phentermine? Yeah, phentermine for weight loss. Oh, fudge. Did I just X everything out? Oh, never mind. And I'm assuming that they weren't able to find any trace of birth control stuff. I wonder if she was on birth control. Wait, hold on a second. So if she was, how is she going to explain away the birth control thing? Because they're going to be like, well, if you didn't know that you were pregnant, then why'd you stop taking your birth control then? I don't know, man. The lies.
Per milliliter. So what exactly do these results mean for the defense? Joining me right now in Ruidoso, New Mexico, Alexee Trevizo's defense attorney. He's back with us tonight, Gary Mitchell. Gary, thanks so much.
Oh, Gary Mitchell, that's his name. Hey, Gary.
Much for joining us again tonight. Autopsy results are out. Toxicology is out. What does it mean to you?
Well, it means that this child didn't die like everybody thinks, and the child wasn't killed by my client. That's what that means. And at the end of the day, we know that there's a major issue with the autopsy and the way they claim that this child died of suffocation. That's not correct. We also know that the hospital committed a major wrong in giving my client morphine for a lengthy period of time, well over an hour, almost an hour and a half.
The defense are going to try to say the doc gave CPR. That's how the baby got air in his lungs. We are lucky we heard her say she decided not to because she knew it was a crime scene. Yeah, from what we remember from the interviews, they didn't attempt to because they can tell the baby was for sure deceased. And then additionally, I think the defense could be like, oh, well, the reason why there's air in the lungs is because you guys gave him CPR. But then if that goes, if that doesn't work, they could also be like, well, why didn't you give the baby CPR? You could have saved the baby. You guys are negligent. You didn't give the baby CPR. I don't know. You know how defense attorneys are so creative and crafting their defense. They could point out anything.
And we know that the baby had morphine in it as well, which suppressed breathing. So there are...
Which suppress breathing. I wonder when women give birth, how much morphine is found in those babies? Because, there are women that give birth and they want the pain. They want the painkillers. So I do wonder what's the normal amount of morphine that you find in an infant.
Many, many issues. We also know this child had certain bacteria that they found at the autopsy, including E. coli.
Okay, so... E. coli. Well, why would the baby have E. coli? It's the hospital's fault? Or didn't Alexee Trevizo tell one of the nurses that when she sat on the toilet, it kind of just came out? Well, what do you find in toilet bowls? Sometimes there's E. coli floating in there because you go to the bathroom. So maybe that's why the baby had E. coli, because the baby was given birth possibly in the toilet, right? Or on the floor.
Which can...
Or the trash too, right.
Cause major problems for for a baby or elderly people. We also know that
Because I wonder if E. coli was found externally or internally.
she was positive for COVID and influenza A and B.
What? The baby had COVID? The baby had influenza A, influenza B. The baby had E. coli. The baby had morphine. I can't wait to hear from the other experts to see if they agree on this. The baby just had everything. Her mother played the audience to the hospital room. The young woman is 19, so she bear her share of doing the unthinkable in the hospital. She was in a very safe space.
So we had a very sick child. And we also know that from other forensic pathologists that the type of tests run by the lab, by the Office of the Medical Investigator in New Mexico are not classically used. So we had major issues in that regard. And then we've learned that some of the things that the hospital has been saying.
Yeah. And apparently the baby also flew and landed in the bottom of the trash can. Yeah, he won't address that part. That's the meat of it. And that's the part that they really need to address. But maybe they're still crafting something. We'll see.
Are incorrect. She never, for example, she never told him that she was a virgin. She never told him that she didn't have sex.
So you know what? The hospital staff, they are the liars. That's what she's saying. I never told the hospital staff that I was a virgin. I never told my mom that. I never said that I didn't have sex. They're lying. I think there was a couple of hospital staff that said that she said that. I know one for sure. No, I think it was Chris, the one that brought her in. And I think it was the ER doctor. Oh, man, I got to re-listen to the interviews then. I'm pretty sure it was at least two people who said that. Well, at this point, Krista, it's kind of like he said, she said, I guess, right? It's like hospital staff, they're the liars, not the 19-year-old victim. That's what he's saying.
Things of that particular nature. So there's a lot.
At what point, because we bring it back.
Man, I feel like Vinny has so many questions. Vinny's because we've seen Vinny before. Vinny's a very spicy man, okay? Vinny kind of speaks his mind, and he really goes at it. But I can tell right now, Vinny's just trying to constrain himself right now, because you know what? I want this guy to come back, and I want to make sure I want to be able to interview this guy again. So I gotta hold it. I gotta hold it. I feel like Vinny has so many questions right now.
Back to the fact that she goes to the bathroom to deliver this child. At what point did the hospital know she was pregnant? At what point did she know she was pregnant?
They knew she was pregnant at 12:51, 51 minutes after midnight. They did not tell her. She did not know she was pregnant until she had the baby at 1:39, 1:40 in the bathroom.
Okay.
That's when she first learned that she was giving birth.
Okay, and now you can explain more, Carrie Mitchell?
So the hospital knew for 46 minutes that she was pregnant. They didn't tell her. They let her go to the bathroom, and we know that a woman giving birth, particularly a teenager, may feel that they simply have to go to the bathroom.
I do remember hearing the head nurse. I think that he said that he was scared that she would go into the bathroom, not to harm the baby, but he was afraid that she was going to harm herself. I think it was what the head nurse is. It was one of the nurses that said that.
You use the same or similar muscles in that regard. We also know that they continue to give her not only morphine, but 5 other different drugs, 4 of which are contraindicated for birth for a fetus. So the hospital knew all of this. They didn't stop. And not only that, they unhooked her from the IV and allowed her to go to the bathroom.
Is it the hospital staff now that they let her go to the bathroom?
Knowing that she was pregnant at the time. I mean, a
What, pregnant mommies aren't allowed to go to the bathroom?
cardinal sin in the emergency
Sorry.
room. He was from the IV and allowed her to go to the bathroom knowing that she was pregnant at the time. I mean, a cardinal sin in the emergency room.
I'm sorry. I didn't know pregnant mommies had to pee and shit in a fucking bedpan. I didn't know they weren't allowed to go to the bathroom. You used to say muscles. I kind of understand what he was trying to say. I mean, it's obviously different muscles for when you're pooping versus when you're giving birth. But I mean, I get what he was trying to say. I was trying to be too nitpicky about that. Yeah, I'm not really quite sure. It would be a cardinal sin, I guess, if they knew that she was the type of person that was possibly going to harm herself. And that's when she would probably need supervised bathrooms, visits maybe, or maybe she gets a bedpan. But I don't understand why she wouldn't be able to go to the bathroom on her own as an adult, 19-year-old, if she was pregnant.
So what is the status of the case right now? These results are relatively new. It wasn't known the last time we spoke, at least. So are there conversations going back and forth with prosecutors, or are we just on the track of this thing moving towards a trial?
I don't think the lawyer should do this interview. Yeah, I don't know. I don't think the lawyer should have done this interview. I get there are times where you want to do an interview and you want to set the record straight and you want the public to stop attacking your client. But this interview is just not it. I feel like maybe he should just waited for trial or something. Or maybe he should have been kind of reserved on some things. Maybe he should just stuck to hospital negligent, gave her medication, and that's about it. But the fact that he was going into some details into certain things, I don't know. I felt like he didn't really have to. Maybe just keep it really as succinct as you can and not go into much details, because I don't think this interview really helps him. I don't think it helps her. I don't think it helps her family. If anything, when people hear this, I don't know, they might get even more enraged. I would just wait for the trial.
We're on the track of this moving toward a trial. We're in the investigatory stage. At least I am. I'm getting my experts, giving them all the materials. Obviously, from my conversation with you that I've already talked to certain experts, and I have a lot of information about the case. Plus, the trial is not set until next year. We know that the trial date that was set in the fall is going to be moved. And I'm preparing motions regarding everything from changes of venue to the misuse.
Oh, change of venue. That could be good for her because it's a small town. She's probably already known for being as the teenager that dumped her baby in the trash bin. So change of venue could be good for her.
Everything from changes of venue to the misuse of privileged materials to a motion to suppress certain statements and things of that particular nature.
And final question here tonight. Alexee, your client, she's not behind bars, right? She's released and being monitored. What's her status tonight, and how would you describe her state of mind right now?
Well, first of all, she's just graduated high school. She stays alone, with the exception of her parents, and she doesn't go out. She and other than visiting a sister or relatives that may come by, she doesn't see any friends. She has no physical contact with her boyfriend, the father of the child. She talks to me, and she's in some counseling as ordered by the court.
Interesting. No physical contact with her boyfriend.
And she's in some counseling.
Yeah, no physical contact with her boyfriend. Man. She really fucked up. I remember when I was a senior in high school, that was like one of the best years ever because it's like, oh, you're almost getting the taste of freedom. You're going to be done with high school You're gonna go to college. You're gonna do whatever you want, you know? I don't know. It's just like such a cool experience. Like after you graduate, you know, you do the prom stuff, you do the beach week stuff, hang out with your friends, get a taste of freedom, travel and all that. She fucked up. You hated high school. Listen, I didn't like high school, but I was always looking forward to getting out of high school. I was like, yes. But I just remember last year high school was really fun though, because it was just like knowing that like, oh, you're finally going to be done. The anticipation. What is beach week? Oh, so like beach week was after you graduated, all the seniors go to the nearest beach city. And then for an entire week, you just like drink, party, hotel hop and stuff like that. Yeah, it was really fun. You just get like a big house and share it together. But teenagers are filthy little fuckers, okay? Because no one wants to clean. No one wants to cook. No one wants to do anything. We don't have our mom or dad to clean after us. I just remember our beach week house was a freaking mess. Hey, Paul, how are you doing today? We talked about Sarah Boone for her pretrial hearing. And we're finishing up with Alexee Trevizo, and then we're going to move on to Lori Vallow. Her sentence is going to be up soon.
As ordered by the court.
All right,
But
Gary.
other than that, lives a very stoic life.
All right, get Gary out of here. I want to listen to the think tank then.
Gary Mitchell, representing Alexee Trevizo. We appreciate your time tonight, Gary, and hopefully we'll speak again.
I usually don't care for the think tank, but let me get. I want to listen to the think tank right now. Get
soon.
Gary out of here. Bye, Gary. Have fun.
We shall. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, folks, let's bring in our think tank. Joining us live in studio tonight, criminal defense attorney, entertainment attorney, former state attorney in Florida, and former assistant DA in Atlanta, Daryl.
Hi, everyone. Hey, how's it going? I came because Boone was in the title. Any updates? What happened? Sarah Boone, her trial has been pushed back. Initially, it was for next Monday. It's going to be pushed back for now for October 2nd. She was having issues hiring an expert. But then they finally were able to find an expert because she's going to go for the battered spouse defense. However, the expert wants $400 an hour, and they don't want to pay for $400 an hour, so they're figuring that out right now. But we'll have her pretrial stuff happening, I think twice in September. I don't remember the exact dates. So that's it for the Sarah Boone stuff for now. It has been delayed.
Cohen.
Oh, and then Sarah Boone at the end was like, Judge, I got another letter. I want you to upload it to your system. And the judge kind of, he kind of politely shut her down a little bit.
Also with us, criminal defense attorneys Marsha Mignon, and finally, criminal defense attorney, the man behind the glasses, Josh Schiffer. And the glasses, Marsha, did you guys set this up ahead of time?
We tried.
It's a long-time plan.
All right.
We're working on
They're
this.
going to do battle with you, Daryl.
Trendsetters.
Yeah. All right. Daryl, the corner of my eye, I'm doing the interview here, corner of my eye, Daryl's making faces throughout this interview. What are your thoughts about this case?
Well, my first thoughts are, I don't think that infant was able to walk from the hospital room bed to the bathroom.
Yep. That's what someone said in my chat earlier.
And jump into the trash can and surround itself with plastic and suffocate. I think her lawyer is doing exactly what he needs to do. He's doing a good job, but he doesn't have the evidence. He may be saying that they made mistakes. This woman sadly killed her child. Whether or not it's murder, as far as...
That's what she's charged with.
Well, she's charged with murder, and she actually killed her child, in my view, based on the evidence I see. But having said that, I think ultimately this will end up being a plea, her getting a lot of counseling and a lot of help.
Well, the lawyer already said, I think the lawyer said that she's not going to take a plea deal. That was in a different interview.
Because it's an unusual murder.
But we'll see. They might change their mind. I don't know if it's still offered.
It's terrible, but it's unusual.
Marsha?
I disagree. I think the hospital
See,
has...
everyone that sits in that seat usually disagrees with Daryl.
It's a given.
It's the
And
disagree
this
seat.
seat and that seat, oh, those seats. It's not
The
hard.
only reason I disagree is because I know that a lot of times it's difficult to understand how, at such a young age, she could not know that she's pregnant. It's happened to women even older than she is that say, I didn't even know I was pregnant until I got to the hospital. My concern is that the hospital, based on the information from her attorney, had all the knowledge prior to her, assuming arguendo that's true, that she was pregnant. And if that's the case, there's a whole lot of negligence to go around.
But that doesn't stop.
Is there? Is there though? If they knew she was pregnant? Is there really? They could have still known she was pregnant, have her go to the bathroom, give her the medications they did, and still not be negligent.
A murder, negligence is one thing. Murder, the actual act of killing your child.
Like there could have been someone that might have fucked up and give her like excess amount of morphine, or maybe could also be no.
Is still a murder.
Well,
negligence or not.
Assuming the child wasn't killed by morphine, assuming the child wasn't killed by all the medications that they were pumping her with when she got to the hospital and said, I have back pain. And if you're pumping her with medication.
And I feel like that word pumping, I feel like that's such a loaded term. We don't know if she was pumped with medication. She could have been given medication that still wouldn't have instantly aborted an infant.
Knowing that she's pregnant, then there might have been a murder, but it was committed by the hospital.
Oh, and really,
But I just want to hear from like other, I don't know, maybe like experts that say they're like, oh, you know, is this the amount of morphine that you will be able to find in a child after a mother was given morphine and she gave birth? So that's what I want to know. Because I don't fucking know. I read that fucking autopsy thing and I was like, I don't know if this is a lot of morphine or not. Oh.
yeah, I'm going to follow up on that because really, I've dealt with hospitals. I've been deeply involved with one and or more pregnancies.
You've been pregnant?
No, but I've contributed. One of the issues is you don't just go to the hospital and get some morphine. They check into you before they start pumping you up with the good stuff. You also don't really get treated as a woman without pregnancy tests.
Yeah, and usually when I go to the doctors, like not ER or anything, but when I go to the doctors and if I have like an issue, one of the first things they usually do is like take a urine test. They'll ask me like, oh, do you think you're pregnant? I'm like, no. But like, okay, well, let's just take a urine test just in case and stuff. And let's just, you know, double check to make sure. I don't know. Like I remember doing that so many times. So I would assume if you're going to the ER for back pain, I don't know. I mean, they did the urinary test. They did the blood test. I feel like they would be on the error side of caution. I'm like, okay, whatever medication we give her, let's be careful in case she is pregnant, right? I feel like they wouldn't just give her shit that would just like fuck her up.
Coming out really quickly. It's one of the first things doctors do. So I'm really interested to hear about what the hospital did and clearly didn't do. But I agree with Daryl. There's some serious mental health issues involved with this. I find it very difficult to conceive not realizing you're pregnant. And then there's some untruths being shared.
Let's do this.
Here.
Let's watch together. Alexee, this again is on the body cam. This is her reaction in the moment. Now her mom's in there, the doctor's in there, and obviously officer with a body cam. Let's watch.
I'm sorry. It came out in me and I didn't know what to do.
Lexi, I told you about this.
But it
I
was
just asked you, baby, to tell me the truth.
scared. It was not crying or nothing.
I'm sorry about this, but in terms of delivering a baby and it looked like you tried to hide it, we do have to have the police involved.
And nothing was crying. It came out with nothing.
Do you guys have, I'm the charge nurse here, do you guys have any questions for me?
Like, how big is the baby?
It's full term.
What? 9 months?
Nothing was crying.
Lexi, have you watched the news of the girls that what they do to their babies and what they go to jail?
Nothing was crying.
It's difficult. Let me show you one more piece of evidence, okay? That may be used in this case. I don't know. This is from Yvonne the Plug on TikTok. This is a still frame from a video. That's her. She's still cheerleading. She's still cheerleading.
It's so pixelated.
That's her right in the middle.
Yeah, when she's got her back arch, you really see the stomach coming out.
Many that we've had in the newsroom have said, yeah, that looks like a baby bump.
It kind of smacks. Are you kidding me with the pregnancy unknowing? And really, your body's your body. I find it difficult, even though I admit it's been reported before.
But we think she was on diet pills too.
Yeah, women have been able to be pregnant, and I've never been pregnant, but I'm sure that you can miss some things. But it's so hard to believe.
So you're gonna take my word for it?
Yeah, I'll take your word for it. It's so hard to believe. You're missing something that happens pretty regularly for a number of months, and clearly that young lady is terrified of talking to her mom about this.
And then she runs to the bathroom and gives birth, and then, please. I mean, there's negligence, I agree, but there's mental health issues galore.
Well, if she's got mental health issues, then you've just taken away her intent in murder.
There you go.
No. Mental health issues does not mean you've taken away her intent. Just means she has mental health
Well,
issues.
now her defense would be
Well, I think the defense, it looks like it's leaning on that this was a stillborn child. Stillborn child. So that's a battle of the experts inside the courtroom.
Did I not hear she said the baby was crying?
No,
she
she
said that
Nothing was crying.
Oh.
Nothing was crying.
but it's the line and the purposeful, willful blindness.
So how important is the issue of whether or not she knew she was pregnant?
critical in a murder case, because you have to have intent. You have specific intent crimes and general intent crimes. Fortunately for her, murder is a specific intent crime. So if she didn't intend to cause the death of the child, prosecutors better be looking at charging something else really quickly.
If there's evidence, like let's say hypothetically there's evidence that
I appreciate him saying that excessive mental health doesn't mean no intent. Yeah, I don't know. Maybe they're like nervous or something like that. But like, I feel like sometimes when they get these experts up there, they say things that I'm just like, what? How could they? What? Are they for real? Maybe, I don't know. Maybe being up there in the seat, you kind of just like blabber things out of nervousness or something. I don't know.
She had talked to friends about a name for the baby. That would be really bad for her.
It would be bad for her. However,
really bad.
You talking about the name for a baby doesn't mean
For
that when
the
you-
baby.
For the baby.
That
When you got
doesn't
to the
matter.
hospital.
What matters is she put the baby in the trash can. She put plastic around the baby. It doesn't take a brilliant detective to realize she committed a murder.
What if the
Paul says, I thought the autopsy confirmed air in the lung. That's not stillborn, is it? That autopsy report is saying it's not stillborn. They said they found air in the lungs and in the stomach as well, and it was death by suffocation. However, defense team, you know, it probably might be like the Skylar Richardson case, right, where they find their own expert, and the expert's going to be like, well, actually, there wasn't any air, and blah, 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 blah. So I don't know. We'll see what they say.
baby was dead when she put it in the trash?
Then she attempted to commit the murder.
And that's the other thing, because they
They're
can get her
here
on something.
the whole hour.
They can get her on abusing a corpse. They can get her on everything.
That's what I just said.
Tell
All
you.
right.
Prosecutor needs to look at new charges.
She intended to kill the baby, not to help it. Call for help. She was in the hospital, for fuck's sake. Yeah, she could have gotten help for both of them. So bogus. Yeah, we'll see what else comes up. But I feel like the lawyer should not have done an interview, or if he were to do an interview, just keep it really short and just be like, hey, you know, we think it's negligence of the hospital because of medication. And that's about it. I don't know. I don't think he should have said other stuff, man. Oh, good. Good Lord. I don't know. Okay, well, who's next? So again, her case, her trial is set for charges: first-degree murder, willful and deliberate, intentional abuse of a child resulting in death, child under 12, tampering with evidence, highest crime, a capital first or second-degree felony. Hearing date for January 2nd. Oh man, after the new year. January 2nd, pretrial hearing, and then jury trial February 1st. So that's what we have on the schedule for now. They recently asked for a continuance. It was scheduled for, I think, was it October? And then it got pushed out by another couple months. She so badly wanted to hide, she even asked for help for herself, let alone the baby. Dang, that far out. Honestly, time goes by really fast. So in a couple of days, it'll feel like it was a couple of days. I don't know. I feel like time just goes by so fast. It feels like it's far away, but time just goes by so fast, man. And we're already doing Lori Vallow sentencing.